Welcome to Creative on Purpose Live, the show dedicated to seasoned solopreneurs who are building a business that fits their life, not the other way around. If you're ready to make a better living by making a bigger difference, you're in the right place. I'm Scott Perry. I am the publisher of Transcendent Solopreneurship and creator of the Purpose-Driven Prosperity Model. To learn more about what we're up to and to grab the free resources, go to creativeonpurpose.com. Let's meet today's guest. Arnaud, welcome to the broadcast. Please tell our viewers who you are, what you're up to these days, and where can people go to learn more about you and the difference that you're making.
Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Arnaud Saint-Paul. I'm initially from France, but live in the US. And my life purpose is to help people to activate their heart intelligence. And so I have an institute called Tapuat, which is there to help individuals, leaders, entrepreneurs to lead from their heart, meaning to get into coherence with more presence, inner peace, inner joy, non-attachment, selflessness, unity, and purpose. Why? Because the more coherence we invite in our lives, the more impact we have. So we found a way to, by becoming more humans and becoming more open, we actually not only it becomes an easier journey as an entrepreneur, but on top of that, our vision happens faster. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. And I'm reaching 1 billion people on our journey. And you can find everything about it on tapuat.com, tapuat.com, or you can reach out to me on Substack or LinkedIn under my name, Arnaud Saint-Paul.
Fantastic. Well, I've obviously loved your mission and your purpose. I'm guessing that little boy Arnaud, the 9-year-old running around the yard, probably was not thinking to himself, you know what I want to be when I grow up? I want to help leaders become more heart-led. So I'd love to hear a little bit of the backstory, the origin story. How did you come to be doing this work that you're doing now?
Well, actually, it started at 13. At that time, I think like any teenager trying to understand who I am, right? But it took very quickly a different route in the sense that I was very interested, not interested. It felt important to me to figure out how to lead through my heart for a unknown reason. I would discover later on that actually my mind was quite unreliable and was therefore not really the foundation on which I could create and what it is to be a human being. It's how does the other works and so on and so forth. But first and foremost is what is the foundation, and the foundation is my heart. The heart with a big H, which incorporates every single aspect of our being. And the mind is a beautiful tool, but just a tool, not everything. So that was the very start, and that led me to go into the different philosophies, practices as I was getting into the adult years. While I was working in finance and then technology, I've been an entrepreneur all my whole life. And there I discovered that, an entrepreneur, to my knowledge, is only facing himself all the time through all the business challenges he's having. So the more I work on myself, the more I release the patterns that are limiting me, the easier the path gets. And it is confirmed every single time. So that's why I created this method called the Heartful Method, which enables us to figure out, to decode these challenges that are showing up and finding the source of the pattern, releasing it, and then off I go living without that. So in other words, all of a sudden I receive calls from clients saying, I want to work with you, when before it was not possible because I was still stuck somewhere. And so, nowadays it becomes easier and easier to live the entrepreneur path. Why? Because I have my foundation, my heart, right? As we mentioned earlier, I have my purpose. I know where I'm heading to. And then everything that is on the way that shows up in my day-to-day is a beautiful symptom of what is actually really happening within. And I know how to manage these tools and release them so that I can grow further.
Mhm. I love there's a couple of threads there that really resonate, that I'd love to tug on a little bit. But one of the things that I find is helpful, a lot of us will use words like leadership, or what does it mean to be heart led, and we all might have different interpretations of what those things might mean. And so, for a lot of the folks that are in my audience, they are independent entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, independent creatives, freelancers, coaches, consultants, teachers, healers, uh, that often find themselves working by themselves while they're trying to also work on themselves. And so, leadership might not be the first thing that they think about when they're thinking about self-identity. So I'd love to just get your take on, when you talk about leadership and talk about being a leader, what does that mean to you?
Well, for me, very quickly, what I realize is that life is leading me, not the other way around. And so being a heart leader, from my viewpoint, is actually being led by my heart, having that humility to realize that, right? Where life, through the events of the day to day, the discussions, the challenges, the whatever, is showing me a path towards more of myself. And as I listen and I'm aware of it, and I do what needs to be done, then all of a sudden things starts to blossom and to grow and so on and so forth. So it's not about leadership from a corporate standpoint. It's really about leadership of myself and
Mm.
having a enough presence and awareness to myself to have that dance with my life, right, and with my own reality, with myself in that process. Does that make more sense?
It does. And it very much resonates with the conversations that we have around leadership inside the circle community within the Transcendent Solopreneur publication, and subscriber community. You know, we often talk about solopreneurship, independent entrepreneurship as being a calling. It's a vocation. It's like
Mm-hmm.
nobody gets trained up, at least here in the United States. Very few people get trained up to be taught to think critically, think for themselves, and do their own thing. We are taught to conform and comply and follow the path that society has established for us. And so the idea, the audacity that our life is speaking to us because it wants to speak through us in a way
Yeah.
is one thing that leaps to my mind as you're speaking. And also, you didn't say this explicitly, but you said it implicitly earlier. This whole idea of leadership. Well, you did say this: leadership is not authority. Authority is something that is bestowed upon you. You have a certification, you have a title, and we're trained up from, are you an honor roll student? Are you a manager? Are you the vice president? Are you the president of the corporation? Those are the we think of those as leaders, but those are people that just have a title. And leadership doesn't require you to have been given permission or to have earned some sort of certification. It's something that you can choose to do. And what we find in our community and through the conversations we're having is it's best practiced quietly from the inside out. The
Mm-hmm.
quietness is listening to life speaking to you because it wants to speak through you. What are you being called to do? What do you use the idea of being pulled? And so those are some themes that that leap to my mind that I think will be really powerful for this audience and our listeners. And so I would love now to dive a little bit into this element that you're bringing in, which is to be listening not just to what life is speaking to you, but also what is your heart telling? Like how is being heart led going to be helpful for the folks that have recognized that they are the captain of their destiny, the steward of their experience, and they can lead themselves from the inside out into whatever possibility they imagine for themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, I think everybody in your audience is already heart-led. They have chosen a path. They are passionate about something, right? And they are living their purpose to the best of their ability, obviously, as we all are. And it's a gradual process, more often than not. And on that path that we have chosen for ourselves, we are going against the waves and doing what needs to be done and so on and so forth. So we're already living our truth. We're already leading with our heart. So what we're offering is something that compounds on it or goes beyond it, in the sense that once we are indeed leading with our heart, well, there are information that are being provided to us that we usually don't tend to listen to. And when we do, it compounds or accelerates our journey and our progress towards ourselves and towards more of whatever it is that we want to create. Because in the end, an entrepreneur is a creator in its own essence, right? And that creator deserves all the best tools for him to, or her, for that matter, to actually live, experience the very essence of what they believe in. And that's the engine behind being an entrepreneur, right? And solo entrepreneur or multi-entrepreneur, the same. So let's dare to have these experiences and be ourselves to the best of our ability and live it. Just live it, right? What life is asking us to do is to live it fully, wholeheartedly, I would dare say. And therefore the rest takes care of itself. Therefore, the money appears, the clients appears, whichever, right? Doesn't matter, whichever the expression. But that's what life is here to nudge us towards. To live fully anything that we believe in. And that's, I believe, what I could offer to my kids, to any entrepreneur, to any leader, to any individual on the planet.
Well, yeah, no, I love all of that. We talk quite a bit about this idea of playing your game. Life is a game, so they say, and if you're going to win at the game of life, you're going to have to play your game, because you can't win if you're playing somebody else's, and you certainly can't win a game you don't want to play. And so if you're playing from someone else's rule book or from someone else's game board, you're probably not going to find yourself, to your point, living as fully and completely as you like. And so there is that element of playing your game on your terms without compromise, and enjoy. You mentioned presence at the beginning of this conversation. I think it's really important that we be in the experience that we're having now, because this is where we can leverage what we already possess to become what we want to become. And so there's no dissonance in my mind between sufficiency, like I'm okay just as I am, I was born sufficient and whole, possessing everything I need to succeed, and striving, which is becoming more of what I want to become. And you talked about, you wove purpose into the conversation. This is a broadcast called Creative on Purpose. It's the umbrella brand of everything that I've been doing for the last 10 years. I'd love to hear your take on purpose. Like, something that we talk about frequently is, what is my purpose? How do I find my purpose? Or how do I identify the purpose within me? How do you think about that?
So I'm going to first do a segue. You mentioned you had in your what you mentioned here more of a masculine way of looking at it, but there is another way, which is life is a play. Yes, it's not about winning; it's more about the experience of the playing. It's a dance too. So it's a dance where There's an ebb and a flow, right? And we are creating together beautiful shapes in rhythm with whatever the music is in that moment. Life is a dance towards something bigger. And we know nature is about expansion at all levels. Well, here we're exactly the same. We're part of it, right? And so it's a dance of looking at how we can create beautiful new forms on our way towards our purpose. Uh, Purpose is, if I have to find a metaphor to explain it, it's that little foundational tune that we all have within ourselves it is unique to ourselves. It's a bit like your heartbeat. There is no identical heartbeat in the world. So the same here, we have one tune, and that one tune that has direct our whole life and beyond, and offers us the opportunity, when we listen to it again, to guide us towards more of ourselves, that expansion I was talking about earlier. So finding one purpose can be indeed finding what has happened in our day to day in the past decades, for instance, and also finding out what really fills your heart, what is really your passion, whatever that is, without labeling it, without judging it. And then from there, compiling all that, we can find our purpose. We have on our website an ebook, a 30 days method to find one purpose. If anybody is interested, it's tapwhat.com/purpose. Very simple. So that can be downloaded. But the bottom line is, the purpose is how to be you, more of you. What is that line? So for me, I found my purpose really 15 years ago. All of a sudden, I realized that tech only was not for me anymore. Finance only not for me anymore. What really makes sense to me, what really drives me, what really fills my heart? Well, it is to open a heart. So I'm on that journey, and I'm on for 1 billion people when I'm at it. And I'm combining finance and technology into the work I do. Indeed. So it is a unification of everything towards one single objective that is the core expression of my being. The reason why I was born for. I am probably a bit unique in that sense, that I have that sense of unity across my life. We don't necessarily need to have that. It's not mandatory by a long shot. But purpose is about your unique expression. Yes, for sure.
Mm. Well, I love that phrasing, unique expression. And you didn't say this again explicitly, but it rhymes with the way we talk about purpose, which is purpose as being expression and emergent. We've grown up in. Simon Sinek has talked a lot about how purpose is something that you're born with. It's fixed. It's immutable. You have to figure it out by 20, and it will never change. And for some people, that may be true. It was not true for me. For a lot of the folks I work with, it was just an invitation to shame and suffering because they couldn't figure out why they hadn't figured it out if it's something that is in them. And I think, as someone that you wove in a music metaphor, I was a professional guitarist for 30 years. I've taught thousands of people how to play the guitar in person and online. And I couldn't agree more with what you were saying about dance and music and its relationship to the purpose of music is not to get to the end. The purpose of a dance is not to win. The purpose of the dance is to enjoy the dance. The purpose of music is to connect, communicate, collaborate, and create a collaborative experience. And so we're talking about, when we talk about the game of life, we're not talking about finite games that have winners and losers, but infinite games where we win by getting more people to play along. And, I think that's why we also call it the art of living. Like, you don't win at art either. Like, art is an experience. Art is craft. Art is doing your thing out loud and in public and letting people watch. It's only art when it's shared. So I love all those elements of it, but I really appreciate the reflection of, and it's, I think, important for our viewers to take away that if you are feeling like you are n- not tapped into or moving towards your purpose, oftentimes, if you just apply purpose to the things that you're doing right now, to the conversations you're having right now, to the relationships, if you engage purposefully in the things that you're already doing, purpose will emerge. And the more frequently you tap into that purpose, that intention, and the more, to circle back to what you said earlier, maintain your integrity. Who are you? What do you believe? What are your core beliefs, values, guiding principles? What are your core talents, skills, and unique abilities? If you can continue to look in the mirror and to do the work to find those things and lean into and embrace those things, greater clarity of purpose seems, in my experience, to be something that naturally emerges. I think in some ways, what you were saying earlier reminds
Yes.
me of, it's like it's a side effect. Like all these things that we're talking about are side effects of doing what you're doing with intention and integrity, being present and purposeful about the way that you're playing the game of life.
And it's not something forced either. So you can set your intention towards finding your purpose and allow it to come, right? It's an allowance and not a forceful, I need to find it, etc. That never works either. It's very subtle. It's about listening again, right? And the listening or the language used to answer that listening can be a thought, a book, a conversation, and at some point, boom, you have a eureka moment, and it arrived. So at least that's what happened in my experience. I'm not pretending of having the universal answers, but I can share mine that have worked so far, and with all the people that we worked with in this capacity. So yes, we are living a beautiful life, and more so an entrepreneur who is choosing consciously to go towards himself, to test himself on the journey of entrepreneurship, to face himself or herself, by the way. I'm not trying to exclude both genres. To face himself or herself and live fully, wholeheartedly, the journey on which they are. Amazing. Congratulations. You've done what a lot of people are not doing. So that's wonderful. And so let's go beyond that and trust that the journey that our heart is showing us, aka our life, right? Somehow there's a wisdom to be acquired here where, well, when the circumstances are not exactly as we wish them to be, it must be because there is a good reason for it. And so that allows us to find out what is actually happening beyond the business skills or whatever you may not do at sales or whatever. What is really, what is it that you're trying to tell yourself through this life, through these circumstances? And find out why it serves us well in this current circumstance, and maybe shift that. And then you start seeing miracles afterwards. So we all have that power and that choice at any time.
I really appreciate the reflection of not trying to force it. Like we frequently remind each other, don't push the river. Pushing the river is exhausting. But if you can find a way to go with the flow and work with the flow, you will find the experience much easier and more enjoyable. Arnaud, this has been a great conversation. As we're coming to the end of our time, I love to close with just one final thought. If there's a quote or a maxim or a practice or just a piece of advice that you would have for the folks that are tuning in that are looking for ways to get a little bit more clear and closer to building the kind of business that will fund and fit the lifestyle that they are started their business for in the first place, what would you share with them?
So one is, it's most likely not about funding your lifestyle, and it is more about living your passion. So if we are going for funding our lifestyle, we probably will encounter a lot of boulders on our way. So let's refocus that. And in my experience, when I follow my heart, it works all the time. When I divert from it, that's when the shit starts to hit the fan.
Well, I really appreciate that. We want to thank everyone for tuning in. Arnaud and I really appreciate the
Thank you,
gift of
thank
your
you,
time
thank
and
you.
attention. We hope that today's conversation helps you take a bolder step into possibility and your potential, doing work that matters with people you care about. And if you'd like to take a deeper dive into some of the things we've talked about, you can go to creativeonpurpose.com. Make sure that you also check out Arnaud's site. We'll be leaving links for all of that. And if you're watching on YouTube or social media, please take a moment to drop a comment or a question. It's always great to hear from you. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, please drop a 5-star review and a review. It really helps more of the right people connect with the work that we're doing and the difference that our guests are making. So now take what you've learned and go play your game all in and full out. Arnaud, thank you so much for
Thank you, Scott.
time and insight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.